Hi everyone, how are you doing? My name is Ron Zaharsky. I've created this course to help you learn about computer programming. And the course is situated in what's called physical computing, building devices that interact with the world. And by interact, I mean they sense things about the world and they perform some actions within the world. Sensing things, something as simple maybe as a button press, what the temperature in a room is, whether someone entered the room, performing actions, something as simple as lighting an LED light, turning on a fan, turning on a motor, sounding an alarm. So devices that sense things about the world and act within the world. We've already seen some examples of this when I was blinking these LED lights, and we're going to start there in writing code. We're going to learn how to blink LED lights. And if you had some intuitions about how I read those instructions and did those LED light blinks, you should do well in the first few exercises of the course, and it'll really prepare you for kind of understanding how to write computer programs. And let's test those intuitions by looking at another example. Okay, and here we have some LED lights blinking, and we don't have a metronome, so let me just count it. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And let's call this LED LED 1, and this other one that's blinked right now LED 2. So let me write those down and see if we can come up with that pattern. So we have LED 1 and LED 2, and we have 4 beats. And let's see what's on at which beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. So on 1, LED 1 is on, but LED 2 is off. So I'm going to indicate on by a 0 and just hyphen there for the off. 1, 2. So at 2, both are off. 2, 3, 4. So on beat 3, LED 2 is on and 3 is off. 1, 2, 3, 4. On 4, both are off. So that's the pattern. Now let's see if we can convert that into the code we're using. Let me just move this light out of the way. So beat 1 here, or that first second LED light 1 is on. And let's just use that code we used before, which is switch 1 on. And LED 2 was off, so let's do that one too. Switch 2 off. Okay, now we wait 1 second here, so wait. Okay, so beat 2, switch 2 is already off, but we need to switch off LED 1 here, so let's do that. Then we need to wait another second. On beat 3, we need to turn on LED 2. Wait that second. And finally on beat 4, we need to turn off LED 2. And wait that second. So that's the code we're using. So I hope you have some intuitions again about reinforcing, yeah, I could have figured out that pattern and come up with our code here. What I forgot to do was we started this with repeat forever, because it repeats over and over and over again, and as long as I'm supplying power to the LEDs, which are up here and not visible, there they are, it keeps running. So as long as we have power, it repeats over and over and over again. Now, unfortunately, the computer doesn't understand these instructions, but it's very straightforward to convert these into a form the computer can understand. And let me show you those. So this repeat forever, and I'll explain this a little bit later in the course, so by now we'll just kind of memorize what we need to do. That's implemented as void loop. That means let's loop over this over and over again, open and close parentheses, and then I have a brace, and all the instructions we want to execute followed at the end by another brace. So this repeat forever, void loop, open and close parentheses, and the braces. Switch, so turning an LED number 1 on in computer code would be digital, right, then the number of the LED, in this case 1, and high. We're going to send some voltage that way, and I'm running out of room. There's a semicolon at the end of the instruction. If we want to wait 4 seconds, there's a command called delay, and we give the time in milliseconds or thousands of seconds. So 4 seconds would be 4,000 milliseconds. And we want to switch off the LED. That's then it's low. So turning something on is high, turning it off is low. And then we're going to wait, wait another 4 seconds. And that's it. So you can see there's kind of a 1-for-1 mapping. Switch 1 on is called digital right, the number of the LED we want, and high for on, low for off. And to delay something, it's in milliseconds or thousands of seconds. So you can, all those patterns we've seen, I'm thinking you probably can write that now in computer code, and we'll do that shortly. Now, one thing we're doing in the course that's different than other computer programming courses is we're going to actually construct circuits. And if you're a bit worried about that part of the course, it's a lot easier than reading instructions on how to assemble furniture, like this desk I'm currently using, and following kind of all the mapping of how to put things together. So you'll have instructions like this that will be tons easier than this, that'll show you how to construct those circuits. So if you have any concerns about that, don't worry, you'll see that it's relatively easy. The projects of the course will work as follows. So it starts with, there'll be some instructions on the hardware part, how to put the components, what are the components. So here's an LED light, here's the scoop with LED lights, you'll need a resistor, here are the parts you need, much like that diagram of how to put, a piece of furniture together. These are the parts that should be in the box. Make sure you have 8 screws or whatever. Then there'll be a diagram further down here explaining how to wire, how to construct that circuit. This one's fairly easy. Let me just make that a little bigger. So here's how to connect an LED light to our computer, to our microprocessor board. Then there'll be some associated code. Here's the code that'll blink an LED light on and off. A little bit later, we'll say, well, here's how to hook up 2 LED lights and blink those. That's the information. What you'll be doing then is a set of remixes. So once you learn that material, you want to practice it and kind of get it in your head, so when you see a problem, you'll be able to solve it. So one remix might be something like, well, here's how to blink 2 LED lights, but how do you blink them in this pattern? Or here's another pattern, can you do that? Or how would you blink 5 LED lights in this way? So those are the remixes. Once you learn something basic, here's how a button works, you'll be asked to experiment with getting that button to do different things. So that's the set of remixes and pretty much the outline of how we progress through this programming course using the Arduino Uno. So we'll learn something in one experiment and then apply it with remixes.